Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of NCW, also known as New Comic Wednesday. If you haven't been with us before, we chat for a few minutes every Wednesday about Cinescope's news releases. If you don't know who I am your NCW host, Amber. And if I lose power at any moment of today, it is because there's currently a hurricane going on and I live in Florida. So there's a good chance that I just strike out and I won't see any of you guys. But in case that happens, I'm sure Casey will either hop in or we'll kind of go from there. Anyway, so today we are here to talk about two releases, but before we dive into those, where you can find our latest releases is you can head to Zenescope.com, press new releases, and it will show you everything that has come out in orders backwards. So the first book that you see immediately we enter will be our newest release, and then it will show you all of our other past week's releases in addition. On top of that, you can also always catch us on the go by reading us on Comixology, or you can head over to your local comic shop. This has been a long break of NCW. I haven't been on too recently. Last week I was in London, so thank you, Casey, for hopping in. But we also won't be here next Wednesday because we'll be at New York Comic Con. So there will be a new release next week. However, we won't be doing NCW. Instead, we'll do it the week after New York, where there'll be no releases. So we'll talk about that week's previous release of the week that we missed, if that makes sense, because that was just the week's week. See how we're all, yes. Casey's on the same page. We're all on the same page. Okay. So you guys never miss a coffee with Casey with Noah, a coffee and Casey with Noah, an NCW, a VCon, movie club, which I believe is happening tonight. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, or that you like the stream, or that you react to it, or that you comment, or etc. I'm kind of interested to hear how the VIP event went, since I couldn't go. So make sure you drop in the comments if you were there, how much fun you had, what you're looking for the next venue, where you'd like it to be, if you'd come again, etc. And speaking, I know I wasn't there, Joshua, but if you guys are going to be at New York Comic Con, you will see me outside, holding probably a sign that says walk this way, with bright red hair. And usually it rains at New York Comic Con, so I'm usually very cold. And so I usually have earmuffs on, even though it's 60 degrees and everybody laughs at me. But so if you see me out there, come say hi. But if not, I'm sure I'll stop by the Zenescope booth, and make sure that you stop by the Zenescope booth. They'll be there for all 4 days. Booth 3037, right off the main aisle, October 6th through the 9th. So that's a Thursday through a Sunday. So make sure that you come see the team. We're going to be doing some incredible promotions, some awesome giveaways that we always do, some scratch offs. We're going to have a really, really cool setup, and the whole team is pretty much going to be there. You can see, Casey or Noah or Jason or Ralph or Joe or Dave, or many of them. There will be many of. Plus, we'll have 2 booth models there that you can always take pictures with. So yeah, the exclusives look really good. If you actually log on to New York Comic Con's website right now and you go through the exhibitor listing, you'll be able to see almost all of our exclusives out there, including so everything that we've previewed. They're already up on the web store, and I think New York might have shouted them out yesterday as well. So diving into today's 2 releases, I don't believe I'll have any guests on today because Joe said he might be able to join, but I texted him and I haven't heard back. So there's a good chance he won't be joining, but we have 2 releases here today. We have our ongoing Grimm Fairy Tales release that has come out. And in case you guys don't know, our Grimm Fairy Tales are always $3.99, which is our ongoing flagship series. So that's number 64 currently, and it's written by our own Dave Franchini. And I told Dave that he could have the week off of NCW because he's going to be at our booth next week, and I didn't want to take him away from all of the incredible publishing stuff that he has to do. So again, today's newest release, one of our 2 releases, is Grimm Fairy Tales Volume 2, number 64. As always, Grimm Fairy Tales comes with 4 beautiful covers. Casey, if you could pop those up in just a moment. Let me know, everybody, whose covers are your favorite. Oh, look, Joe joined us in the background. Wonderful. So I can bring him on in just a moment. He's doing this stopwatch thing like he's not excited, but he is excited. I didn't share any questions with him. I have them written down on this beautiful piece of paper that he will see. But as always, in the comments, drop what is your favorite cover of our latest Grimm Fairy Tales storyline. And as so, I will read the synopsis. Sky, Snow White Mathers, journeys to a small coastal New England village to investigate the mysterious disappearances of young women. But what she finds there is much more sinister and takes her deeper into the darkness than she's ever ventured before. So again, Grimm Fairy Tales Volume 2, number 64, $3.99 in our web store right now, in our first release. And again, like I mentioned, our Grimm Fairy Tales story is an ongoing story that we have that comes out probably like every month. We've gone to a lot of places recently. We jumped to a bunch of different multiverses, and it's kind of hard to keep up with what's going on. But as always, if you decide that you want to jump into Grimm Fairy Tales right now, you can head to our web store. We have double-sized graphic novels for Legacy, Age of Camelot, which will get you very familiar with the characters that you will see in these ongoing storylines. So that is, again, today's first release, our Grimm Fairy Tales storyline. Our second release today is our conclusion to the second part of Mango and the Bunnyman, which is Mango and the Bunnyman number 3, Green Eggs and BLAM. It is $5.99 in our web store, and is written by our own co-founder, Joe Brusha. And before I bring him on, as always, Casey, show those 3 beautiful covers that you guys can see in the background. What's super interesting, I guess I'll probably ask Joe about, I know that Mango and the Bunnyman, the first storyline was so popular, especially with the first issue selling out. We used to do 2 covers for the story, so I'm kind of interested why we switched to 3 covers. So we'll ask him that in just a moment. That's right. I gave you a heads up on that question, so I hope you heard it. And he's giving me the thumbs up. Wonderful. So I'm going to read the synopsis, and then I'll bring him on. Just when everything finally seems to be falling into place for Bunnyman, the poop pellet has hit the fan. Now it's up to Mango to try and save his best friend before he's ripped to pieces. Can Phil and Floyd become the team they once were again, or have Mango and the Bunnyman reach the end of the line? So again, without further ado, here's our own Joe Brusha. What's up?
I was doing this because you said you were going to call me at 2:30.
I texted you.
My phone's dead.
I said, hi, can I call you?
My phone's dead. I didn't get
so
that.
then how was I going to call you anyway?
It wasn't dead at 2:30. I know that.
At 2:26, right there. And so we say, hi, is now a good time? And Chris Sampson is actually texting me right now, which is kind of funny that's happening in the background at this moment. But yeah, I texted you.
I know why I'm on here now. I didn't realize because you gave me no heads up whatsoever, but it's okay.
So can I call you after this?
If I charge your phone, I got to find my phone charger.
Well, yes. Wonderful. So today we're here to talk about the conclusion of Green Eggs and BLAM. So is this really the conclusion?
Well, it's the conclusion of this story arc.
But we're going to get another story arc.
Yes. Someday. I don't know when.
So it's like maybe in the works for next year, maybe not in the works for next year.
I don't think it's in the work for, I don't know. It's a great question. No hard, fast plans right now.
Perfect. Because it feels like. Can you
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was gonna say it feels like this ending was kind of. Am I here? I'm still here, right, Casey? Okay, so it's Joe. Joe, how are we? So, question. Then it felt like this was a happy ending to like a storyline. The end felt like a happy ending, but was it a happy ending or was it not a happy ending? Yeah,
but there's still, we've kind of hinted now that Floyd doesn't know where his father, he thought he found his father. He might not have, you have to read to find out, but there's a continuing story there that's going to need to be satisfied. So I think that's what'll happen.
Okay, so speaking of, in the beginning of Mango and the Bunnyman, it was expressed to us that Bunnyman's dad was the Easter Bunny, and that kind of turned out really not to be true, which we kind of get more of the backstory in this storyline. Was that always the plan since like day one, that it wasn't really going to be the Easter Bunny, or was that something we made up for this part of the storyline?
Of course it was always the plan. We plan everything many years in advance. No, I honestly, I don't remember. I think we kind of always knew it wasn't going to be his dad. For real.
Okay, so we think we always kind of knew, and then we're like, let's explore it in this emotional coming of age storyline for the Bunnyman.
Yes.
That's right.
Correct.
Look at that question. So because we completely lied about the Easter
It
Bunny
wasn't a lie.
situation,
Floyd's mom lied to him. So
I know. Well, that brings me to point 2. So
Okay.
can we really trust Floyd's mom? Is this really Floyd's mom? Or is that going to be unveiled in part 3 that this isn't really Floyd's mom?
This is why I want prep for the questions, because you're asking me questions that I don't know the answer to. Yes, it's not really Floyd's mom. It's his kind of his stepmom, his surrogate mother.
Yes, obviously, because he comes from this other world.
Really his surrogate mother. Yes, that is true. But I mean, she obviously knows more. If you read the end of the story, she knows more than she's letting on.
Okay, so I'm marking this. It's 3:11 p.m. on 9/28, September 28th, 2022. So when you unveil part 3 to the storyline, and then somehow I find out it's not the mom, Casey, we are going to play this exact clip, okay? And we're going to unveil the truth.
Didn't you ever hear like Paris Hilton say that the best thing about fiction is she realized you can make up whatever you want? Isn't she the one who said that?
I don't know if I would go around quoting Paris Hilton on the regular.
Well, somebody said it, and they were very intelligent to say that. When you write fiction, you can make up whatever you want. Just so anybody out there, any aspiring writers, it's completely up to you. So I can change my mind and make it up if I want.
Speaking of aspiring writers, if you've been watching the last couple of NCWs, and we talked about this here or there, we've talked about, which I think I brought up to you, Joe Tyler.
We did? No, we never talked about that.
Oh, we didn't. So I haven't brought this up to you yet. Okay,
No.
So if you watched any of the NCWs, I've talked about Joe Tyler for the last like 2 of them or 3 of them. I talked about it with Pat Shan. I've talked about it with Ralph. And now I'm going to ask you Joe Tyler questions.
What? Yeah, go ahead.
So when I moved
this writer as you speak of
to my lovely condo and I was looking at some old books, I found a couple of them. I think here's one. And in it was just making me laugh because it said, created by Ralph Tedesco and Joe Tyler. And I'm like, who is Joe Tyler? So I guess like what is your version of where Joe Tyler came from?
The reason it came is because when it was just Ralph and I, and we were writing everything, and we were, or when I was writing everything, but we just wanted to, I thought we should make ourselves appear a little bigger than we were, to be taken a little more seriously. So let's have another writer who, I don't know why I thought it was a good idea. I really don't. But that was the impetus for it. It was like, let's make ourselves look a little bigger. So it's not like Ralph and Joe are writing everything. Why I didn't change the first name, I don't know. But yeah, that was me. So, and then other people have adopted the Joe Tyler pseudonym, I think.
Yes. So Pat unveiled that other people have been Joe Tyler. He did not obviously unveil who those people were. But I was just interested. It's honestly, I'm going to pay you a really nice compliment. It's really smart because then it does look like more people. It's just funny though, because it says created by Ralph Tedesco and Joe Tyler. Yeah. And I think maybe it should have been written by Joe Tyler and created by Joe Brusha and Ralph Tedesco. I don't know.
I don't think either created by was supposed to have. That was probably an editing mistake. Ralph was in charge of editing back then, so he screwed up.
Was he?
Yeah, I think so. What volume is that?
This is volume 3.
Seems like a little bit late.
I genuinely don't know because this is one of the books that's in another language. I think this is in German.
That's why. See, they probably screwed up then. The Germans are always screwing shit up. That's why.
This one's in Spanish, so I can read this one. See what it says here.
Mi amo Jose Tyler. See?
On the front, well, obviously it says Raven because, well, it doesn't say created by you guys at all, actually, in the first couple pages, which is kind of concerning to me now that I'm looking at it. Didn't you double check these things?
No, I don't. I certainly don't. I think we had an agent that was double checking him, or Jen was supposed to double check him.
Oh, maybe it was this book. I was like, I feel like there was one more book. Also, we were laughing. So all of the books that I have are basically written by you. I don't have anything written by not even by Ralph. You
have good taste, I guess. So you're trying to get the books that you picked the ones you thought you liked.
This is you.
Well, there's a
He's
Monster
an
Hunters
you.
book there, isn't there? What's that one on the desk?
Yeah, this one's you. No, this isn't you.
That's written by J.P. Who's it? John
Yeah.
Paul Russ.
Yeah.
Another pseudonym.
Oh, is it?
Did you ever look at the picture in the back? Look at the picture in the
No.
back. Isn't there a picture of the author?
Oh my God, that's crazy. I never saw this back here.
Maybe you should really start reading these books cover to cover. Yeah.
First of all, I'm reading them pretty in depthly. If I notice Joe Tyler.
Picture. Let me see that picture and what it says. That's the author, John Paul Russ.
Is an expert survivalist and monster hunter. He began hunting vampires as a teenager alongside with his father, John Russ Sr., and has since fought, captured, or killed a multitude of creatures and cryptids over the past 18 years. Russ has hunted hundreds of different monsters, from zombies and werewolves to Bigfoot. Why? Okay, so he currently resides in the state of Pennsylvania and has no immediately family to speak of aside from his Labrador retriever, Zeus, who accompanies him on his many missions. A documentary about Russ's life and exploits began filming in 2012. Did this documentary ever come of anything? Or this was all a lie?
The government came in and squashed it. Too many revealing secrets. The government didn't.
Whose idea was this? Was that your idea?
Russ part, I think was Ralph's. I think that part was Ralph's.
So, who wrote this? Was that you?
It wasn't me. I outlined it. It was an actual real writer. Ralph would know. It was a guy who was a novelist, and he didn't want his name on it. He didn't want his name on it, so we made up J.P. Russ. John Paul Russ is a pseudonym.
Oh, that's funny.
It's brilliant.
It's only funny because every time I ask Ralph any questions about the past of Zenoscope, he never remembers. He's like, I don't know, ask somebody else. So I could ask him about this, and he'd be like, I don't remembe. I'm gonna be like, Ralph, I'm really worried about your memory.
Now I'm interested to know who the writer was, because I think he was a legit novelist. He had ghostwritten before, but he's working for some pretty big publishers, I think, and he worked for us for some reason. But he didn't want his name on the book.
Isn't Zenoscope a pretty big company?
They are now. Back then, not so much.
So, are you a fail? I said a fail. Are you a fan of Yale? Is there a reason why really?
Fail. So, funny story about the Yale Bulldogs that I have on. So, during the pandemic, I took some kind of course online that was offered by Yale. So, my kids, to give my kids shit, I was like, I'm an Ivy Leaguer now. So now I am a Yale Bulldog. The Yale Bulldog.
How'd you do in your course?
Oh, 98%. What are you kidding me? Of course. I actually took an archaeology course too from the University of Penn. Didn't do as well on that, but still passed. So I could say I'm an Ivy League scholar now. Ivy League education.
Look, I'm a firm believer in C's get degrees. So
there you go.
Actually, my GPA was very well, but nobody ever asks you about your GPA after you graduate. Nobody cares.
No.
What was your GPA?
For what? For the Yale class?
No, for your real life. I don't know where you went to school. Where'd you go to school?
I didn't go to school. I'm a Rhodes Scholar. Yes. Wow. Someday I'll tell you my whole education history. It'll fascinate you.
So actually, some of the smartest people I know did not go to school. And the president of ReadPop didn't go to college.
There you go.
And the vice president didn't graduate from high school.
There you go. Neither did I.
Wow. See?
There you go.
Kind of crazy. That will be a segment for another time where we dive into the life of Joe Tyler and John Paul Russ, which are both fake people.
Yes. I think that's the only two. I wonder if we have any other ghostwriters in our life.
I didn't know there was more than one. You just unveiled. Now I'm like, do I have any other old books that I can figure out?
There might be some other ghostwriters there.
So will we ever get a book written by either of them again?
Oh, I'm sure Joe Tyler will come back. I'm sure.
In 2023?
I mean, Monster Hunters has probably been the property we've had the most interest in Hollywood. The Rock was attached to star in the movie version of it at one point. So I think that someday we will. Someday that'll be made into a movie. When I'll probably be much older than I am now, and I'm already old. So
So if it's made into a movie, will Joe Tyler get a credit or a shout out? Or one of the characters will be named
No,
Joe
because
Tyler?
he's not the monster hunter. John Paul Russ.
John Paul Russ,
Chris Reddy
whatever.
will have to come out of obscurity and go to the premiere and stand there and look dumb, which he does very well.
And only diehard Zenescope fans or the people who've been watching this now for 20 minutes and 10 seconds will know what we're talking about.
Now, somewhere, if you remember that show, what was the name of that show on Sci-Fi? Was it on Sci-Fi? The show that Olivia Munn was on and Chris, what was that guy's name? It was like the nerdy show. You know what I'm talking about?
On Sci-Fi?
You know?
Oh, well, I've almost said Beauty and the Geek, but no.
And did you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It was like I don't know what it was. Anyway, point being, Chris Reddy as John Paul Russ was interviewed for that show live from Comic-Con. And we had Bigfoot there. Chris was
G4 TV.
G14, that show. Yes.
Yeah, Gus.
So there is a movie clip. There is a clip somewhere out there of Chris being interviewed as John Paul Russ. It was great. It was very good.
I feel like you need to hire somebody called the Zenescope historian that like keeps all this information and brings it up again.
His name is Dave Wall. He's been hired. He's just not doing his job because he's done that stuff before. Somebody passed that message on to him. He's supposed to do that. Yeah, Dave Wall's supposed to do that.
So before I let you go, did you have a fun time at the VIP event?
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. Yes, I will be thanking people this week, but it was a lot of fun. It was great to connect with all the VIPs. Everybody was super nice. Everybody seemed to have a really good time. They were connecting. They were trading cards. I signed a lot of books. Thank you, Kenny, for the 300 books that you brought to the show yourself. Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was a really good time.
Any teas for the future VIP event?
Any teas?
Well, yeah, where it could be, because I know we'll do one in Philly, but will you do a West one again?
We're looking for one in possibly New Orleans. So possibly New Orleans next year, if not Vegas.
New Orleans or Vegas. I love Joe freezes on this.
You keep freezing too.
I don't think it's me. No, Casey's like, it's not you. I don't think it's me. And what's crazy is I'm the one that should be freezing because there's a hurricane going on. I kind of lost show. I don't know if I lost show. Anyway, thanks, show, for joining us. Had a great time. I'm removing you. Okay. So today we talked about two different releases. We talked about Joe Tyler and John Paul Russ. Now, we talked about Grimm Fairy Tales Volume 2, which is out now. Like I mentioned before, Grimm Fairy Tales is our ongoing series. It is our flagship series, and there's always 4 incredible covers. So $3.99 in our web store right now, written by our own Dave Franchini. And the second release that we talked about today was Green Eggs and BLAM #3, written by our co-founder Joe Brusha, aka occasionally Joe Tyler, which will be the conclusion story of our Green Eggs and BLAM part of Mango and the Bunnyman. And if you want backstory, if you never read the first part of Mango and the Bunnyman, you can head right now to our web store and buy Mango and the Bunnyman graphic novel. It's literally $9.99. It's $10, and it's a fantastic read, and it's one of the easiest sells ever. Oh, thank you, Robert. It wasn't me. See, it was Joe. That's all I needed to know. Anyway, so yes, today's 2 releases. In terms of everything else that's going on, tonight there is Movie Club, and this weekend, we're doing a VIP event for our VIPs who could not make it to the VIP event. And next week, we'll be doing, I see Joe in the background now, Casey's stream. Just sorry. We're doing a VIP event for our VIPs this weekend. Next week, we'll be at New York Comic Con, like we said, booth 3037. So make sure you are around for that. And then we had a retailer live stream scheduled for next Tuesday. I told Ralph that next Tuesday was load in for New York and they cannot do it then. So then he moved it. And I don't know when you guys move the next retailer live stream to. I just told him that he can't do it on Tuesday anymore. The 11th? The 11th. Okay, so October 11th, which I believe is the following Tuesday, is the next retailer live stream. There will be no NCW, like I mentioned, next Wednesday, because we will be at New York Comic-Con. I will talk about next Wednesday's release the following Wednesday, because there is no actual releases that Wednesday. So you won't be seeing me at 3 p.m. But for our NCW collectible cover that we give away a showcase version of every single time, this beautiful cover right there, Casey is going to pop up the winner's name with some very fun confetti, like we always do. Confetti in 3, 2, 1. Yay! Congrats, Gary, fellow Dallas fan, on winning the NCW showcase cover. Woohoo! That's right. Dallas beat the Giants on Monday. It was big. I don't have, oh, I think my blanket, I put it away. Should have brought out my Dallas blanket. Actually, I could do that right now. I think it's over in this corner right here. Oh, it is. Perfect. Aha! Brought out my Dallas Cowboys blankets. You guys can all see. That's right. So what's going on right now? So Dallas did win this past weekend. Yay! They are not 3-0, but the Eagles have not played any good teams. Yay! And that's how I feel about that. Will Dallas finally make it to the Super Bowl this year? No. Will they make it to the playoffs? Probably not. However, we are 2-1, and we beat Daniel Jones, which is the world's worst quarterback. That's all I got to say about it. So that's right. How about them Cowboys? They rocked it. Woohoo. In other news, in my margins pool, I picked the Chiefs to beat the Colts this weekend, and so I was not happy with the Chiefs, but I finally won a fantasy football game because my fantasy team is just tragic this year, and I was going to go 0-3, but luckily I went 1-2, so I'm not totally out of it, but I most care about my margins pool because there's a lot of money invested in that. Anyway, so yeah, Dallas won, and the stipulations for next week's NCW collectible cover, and technically the week after, I guess we could just do next week's. I know you have to come by our booth. Yeah, you have to come by our booth to pick up, which will be unveiling, very, very soon, our latest, our October NCW collectible cover. And like I said, this is your last chance to buy the NCW collectible cover for September right now on the web store. So, there we go. Enter the Halloween contest or tag a friend in the most recent about it. So go ahead, do that. Stipulations. Can you believe that we're already coming up on the end of the year? Like, it's literally Halloween. Like, I have my Halloween decorations up. You can see. If you saw my condo right now, it's like Halloween Central. There's lots of spooky stuff. And this Dallas Cowboys blankie that I bring out for game day. And then I drink out of my special Dallas Cowboys mug. Anyway, so yeah. But let me just be excited about beating the Giants, who are one of the worst teams, because I don't really care out. Casey. I don't really care about beating the Giants. I care way more about beating the Eagles. So whenever we face the Eagles and we beat them, I will be the most happy that I am all season. We can only win 2 games every season, and if it's against the Eagles, I don't care. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah. Anyway, like I mentioned, lots of things upcoming, but come see everybody at New York Comic-Con at the booth 3037. And there'll be a lot more announcements, but this has been a little bit longer than normal NCW. So that's all I'll say. Make sure that you check out our latest shout outs that I was going to say, latest Halloween promotion and all the other stuff. We'll be doing some Halloween promotions at New York Comic Con too. There you go. 13 days of sticker fun. Wow. What a really good graphic. I love this graphic. You could win a trip to Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights. Get haunted with Phil and Floyd. I love that. Fantastic graphic. Anyway, thanks you guys for joining us as always for NCW. Come on another NCW where we talk more about John Paul Russ, JPR for short, and Joe Tyler, which I'll bring up a lot more. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. As always, this is Zenoscope, where you come for the covers, but you stay for the stories. Bye, everybody.